Hey everybody, it's episode 363 of PodQuest.
Hey!
It's Wednesday, July 28th, 2021. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah, I'm not too bad myself.
Surviving, as they would say.
I haven't eaten meat since Sunday afternoon, and I feel kind of good.
Why?
It's what I do now. I make like a meatless / vegan meal for Monday meal prep, and then I just eat it until it's gone. And so like Sunday I had leftover vegetarian vegan from last week that I made on like Wednesday. So I ate that Sunday night for dinner, and Monday for lunch, and then I made it was broccoli and cashew stir fry.
Okay.
Which is really good. And so I made that, and I've been just eating that, and so it'll be gone probably tomorrow for lunch.
Right. So you're not like going vegetarian. You're just
no. I've always like wanted to cut out meat just because like I know me cutting out meat isn't going to make a difference, but you do more damage eating meat than not eating meat to the environment. It's not I want to save the animals choice, and it's kind of a health choice, but also I'm tired of all of my food farting and eating all of the other food that we produce. So let's cut down on my food farts, and cut down on the methane that is produced to have me, and cut down on just destroying the environment. Yeah, it's just my best way of being environmentally.
Which that's fair.
When 80% of the food we produce goes to the food that we eat, like that's
look, it makes that food taste better.
It's bad though. Like maybe if people ate less meat, we wouldn't have to produce as much, and then carbon emissions wouldn't be as crazy. And it's a whole big cycle that you can get into if you go into this. But yeah, it's just meatless Mondays I do, and I just won't eat anything besides what I meal prep until it's gone.
Which, I mean, hey, good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Like we make a lot of stuff without meat just because it's easier than having to cook like two different things. Yeah. So like tomorrow we're gonna have like tofu tacos because crispy tofu is actually pretty good if you make it right. And like we'll get like the Beyond Beef, which isn't particularly good for you, but it's also something that Erica and I will both eat because it doesn't taste anything like beef, but it's not like it doesn't taste bad either.
Yeah.
So like we'll get that and we'll do like stuffed peppers with it, or like a meat sauce for pasta or what have you.
I mean, when I do this, like I did this back before the pandemic. Like it was all of 2020 until the pandemic happened. So January, February, and probably most of March, I was meal prepping meatless Mondays and just eating all week. And like I would go to the extent of like it would mostly be vegan Monday. And so I made what was it? Shepherd's pie, but it was with cauliflower crust and lentils, I believe, were the actual insides. It was like a balsamic shepherd's pie.
Nope, you've ruined it with balsamic.
It was I did put too much balsamic in.
I don't like balsamic vinegar.
I put too much balsamic, but I ate it, like I made enough and it fed me, and so it's not a bad way to do meal prep, especially because fresh veggies.
But I mean, like after a week, they're not fresh anymore.
It's true.
True. No, that's absolutely true. But like when you cook it, you can tell the difference between week-old cooked fresh veggies and week-old cooked frozen veggies. Like you can absolutely tell a difference between the two. There's a different texture and kind of a different flavor profile. So like cooking the fresh veggies and having them sit for a week or for 4 days tastes better and feels better in your stomach. Frozen steamed broccoli and eating that with whatever other food.
Yeah, it's fair. We never buy frozen or canned vegetables, so like we all like if we're cooking with fresh vegetables, and like you're right, like the fresh stuff is better than the frozen or canned stuff. Like it's definitely like the hierarchy is fresh, frozen, canned, because like canned vegetables, other than like a few very specific things, are just straight garbage.
It's nothing but salt because the brine that they put them in, them fresh.
Yeah, like
nothing but salt.
Beets, like beets in like jarred beets, which are usually like pickled or whatever, are actually not bad. Or like artichoke hearts, because both of those things are kind of a bitch to do like from fresh, and having them just already ready to go and you can just like pull out the artichoke heart and like throw them in whatever is super convenient.
Yeah.
But are you guys ready to talk about stuff that's not like meal prepping and Richie's weird meatless Mondays that go on for a week?
Let's nerd out on things that are nerdier than that.
So Rich, you know what? I just realized what do we have on the agenda this week?
So this week we are going to talk about Pokemon Unite, the MOBA sort of game that released on, I believe it's Switch and phone. Me and Cobb played it. We're gonna have a quick or probably long conversation about Blizzard and the shit they're going through. Then me and Cobb, we both watched the He-Man show, the Kevin Smith He-Man show. Drew and you watched Terminator Salvation, and Chris or Cobb, whatever we want to call you, you watched Gunpowder Milkshake.
These are true things.
Yes.
So Rich, so first, Pokemon Unite is only available on Switch right now. It is coming to mobile devices later on.
Okay.
At least that was the case before. Like, I'm gonna check the Android App Store real quick just to make sure it hasn't released since I read that.
Yeah, like I knew the intention is for it to be on Switch and mobile devices. I just wasn't sure if it wasn't. Sometimes like they don't go hand in hand right away.
Yeah,
but
it is not on. It is not on mobile yet. So the plan is for it to go mobile. But yeah, this was announced a while ago during a Nintendo Direct. Like you said, it's a MOBA. It's it's like baby's first MOBA, but that is still what it is.
Yeah, it is. It has a unique play style where it's like a MOBA basketball game, kind of.
Yeah,
it's your focus isn't to destroy the enemy's team. Your focus is to get points from killing the mobs and putting them into the goals that are on the other side's lines. So it's like it's MOBA light, I guess.
Yeah, to use like 1980s war on drugs terminology, Pokemon Unite is to marijuana what heroin is to Dota.
Sure. I was just going to say Pokemon Unite is the egg, and Dota is the smashed egg. That's 90s.
No, I mean, that has been around for a while. You are specifically thinking of the Rachel Lee Cook commercial where she not only smashes the egg, but smashes, like, everything in the kitchen.
Yeah, this is what happens to your family and your... Yeah, that one.
But yeah, this is definitely the gateway drug to the MOBA obsession. If it's a thing you're into, at least.
Yeah. It starts off, it gives you a practice match, shows you how the basics of how to play the game, and then if you follow the prompts the way it's telling you, it throws you into a match, just PvP match. You're at level 2 or 3 at the time, and you play a quick match not knowing any of these, like, quote, advanced tactics, and then after that, it's like, oh, there's advanced tutorials and stuff you can watch as well, or play as well. And I thought it was pretty fun. I thought, like, it's basic enough, but for me to understand it, because I'm bad at MOBAs, I also haven't played them enough. And hopefully, as of right now, because there's no voice chat or anything, I don't know how toxic the community is, and they're not yelling at me to leave right away because I'm a scrub.
Yeah, so I imagine this game is probably going to have a pretty wide swath of people from different backgrounds. You're going to have the people that want to play MOBAs and are douchebags, but you're also going to have like a lot of kids and teens that saw the new Pokemon game and tried it out and ended up liking it. I have never played a MOBA before. I've watched a little Dota, like I watched a few rounds of Dota during like the International and stuff like that. So while I sort of understand what's going on there, I don't really understand like the mentality of it. Yeah. And like this wasn't not fun, but it also isn't necessarily a game that I want to dump a ton of time into.
Yeah. It's I agree. Like it's something that I might play on stream on occasion, or just do like they have daily tasks, and if you play 3 missions a day, you like it tells you just to play 3 missions every day, and I'm like maybe I could like jump in and do that like during lunch break, or when I just have nothing going on and have time to kill, or have 5 minutes to kill, go on, play a match or two. Matches are 10 minutes long. They're not long at all.
And there's also a quick, I didn't actually go digging for this, but I heard on another podcast, there is a quick match that is a little bit shorter because it's 4-on-4 instead of 5-on-5.
Okay. Huh. Yeah. You need to be like level 7 to get that though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's one of the daily objectives or the daily tasks or whatever is to play a quick match. And I tried to, and it was like, your trainer level needs to be 7. I think I'm like 4 or 5, like 3, 4, or 5 after my first match. So that should unlock pretty quick.
Yeah, and so the game plays like a MOBA in the sense that you are controlling a hero, and the idea, rather, you're not trying, like Richie said, you're not trying to attack towers. You're actually basically attacking fodder Pokemon. Like in the tutorial match, you had like Apoms and stuff like that you would just go attack them. Attacking them would get you energy points essentially. And then you would take those points over to one of the opposing team's bases, which were just glowing platforms on the ground. And then you do kind of dunk the points into that. There's a little bit of a cooldown or a loading on it. So the more points you have, the longer it takes to deposit them. So if you somehow ended up with just a ton of points before you deposit them, you might be sitting there for like 5 seconds holding the button to do it, where the other team could come by and like try and knock you out real quick while you're doing that.
Yeah, and that's the defensive aspect of the game, is if you're playing one of the bigger, slower characters like a Snorlax or whatever, they're a defensive character. You go to push them out of the ring to keep them from scoring their point.
Yeah, and the game does do at least from what I've seen, a pretty good job of giving you access to a bunch of different Pokemon. I don't know if you started with the same one as me, but they gave me a Charmander up front to start with. And then as soon as I got done that tutorial match, they let me pick from, I think, like 4 or 5 different Pokemon.
Yeah. So, yeah, the tutorial mission was Pikachu and then a Charmander. And you do have a set of, like, 4 or 5, like, Pikachu, Charmander, or Charizard, and, like, 3 others, I don't remember, that you can choose from. Plus, yeah, they give you the license for 1 more Pokemon. That I chose Tawelo.
Okay, I chose Slowbro. Okay. And the way it ends up going when you get into the game is, like, in that first match, I started with Charmander. I started with Charizard, but, like, Charmander is who goes out first. And as you're playing through the match, they'll level up and evolve. So level 2, they become Charmeleon. Level 3, they become Charizard. And as they level up, they get stronger. They get better attacks. There is an ultimate attack that you get that once you have to unlock it, and then you also have to essentially have it charged up before you can use it.
Which usually it should be close to, if not all the way charged by the time you unlock it, so that you can use it pretty immediately and still have time to charge it up at least one more time in the battle.
Yeah, and then at some point in the battle, a Zapdos. So far, the only one I've seen appear is Zapdos. But Zapdos appears in the middle of the match, and whichever team takes it out gets a large amount of points to go then try and deposit onto the opposing team. And it also looks like if once you're under 2 minutes in the match, points when you're depositing them are doubled. So I think Zapdos gets you 50 or 80 points just for that one kill. So you might get as many as 160 points when you deposit it if it's in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, my team killed Zapdos, and I think I happened to be the one to get the killing blow and was able to turn him in. I think we got 100 points because it was under 2 minutes.
Yeah, so it might be 50 then.
There's also apparently a Rotom that appears on the map that if you kill it, it takes out. It leaves the rings defenseless, which I don't know what that means, but like the goals, not the rings, where you have to go give the points. It leaves the enemy's rings and goals defenseless. So I don't know if, like, because the more points you score in a goal, the more likely you are to destroy it and then have to go further back into their line to score points. So if you can knock out all 4 of their external goals, they only have one spot and they're not moving, basically. They're never leaving from that spot because all of your players are there hovering it, trying to score.
Okay, yeah. And then to sort of even things out a little bit, so the tracks are... There's a lower track and an upper track, and it's just like it's a big oval, like a racetrack. And each side has 3 bases, 3 for your team, 3 for the other team. Once you hit like a certain point away from your base, your speed drops. So you basically have a speed zone in your side of the map,
Okay.
And then once you're outside of that or in your opponent's side of the map, you move slower. So if you're over in your opponent's zone, like getting ready to like drop stuff, your opponent can get up on you much quicker than you can technically get away from them.
Yeah, it's once you leave the actual line or leave the last goal of that line. So there's 2 goals at the bottom, 2 goals at the top, and 1 in the middle. So once you leave the last goal at the top or last goal at the bottom, or if you just leave that line entirely just to go right into the middle to attack mobs, you instantly go slower.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently there are some ice fields that the whole thing, you just move faster, so it doesn't give you ice physics. But the idea is, because it's all slippery, like, you don't slow down at all. You're just kind of, like, going at the higher speed the whole map.
Yeah.
The game does have some microtransactions and a little bit of pay to win going on right now. So far they're doing pretty well with like daily login bonuses and things like that, where you sign in, you can like get like a new Pokemon each day you sign in, stuff like that. There's also items, and your Pokemon can hold up to 3 items, and those items have levels. And the higher the level, the more beneficial that item is. So it might be something that adds attack or that adds health or any number of good things. And you can just buy levels with real money. So if I had the money, I could go in there, just max out a bunch of items to basically have an unbeatable Pokemon, and then just win the matches just based on I spent more money than you did.
I'd have to, like, you start off with an item. It's like a eaten apple or something like that, and it doesn't do much for you. You have to have your trainer rank up in order to use all of the items. And there's 3 sets of items there's 3 items, and then there's 2 more options of types of items or equipable, or no, it was items and then abilities and then something else. I can't remember the third one. But I see what you're saying with it being play to win in that aspect, but I'd have to see how strong these maxed out items would be to really argue whether or not that would be considered pay to win.
So it's not as egregious as some games have been in the past, and it's not as predatory as a lot of gacha games are, but it is still something that I heard multiple people on multiple podcasts bring that up. That
sucks shit in a competitive game. That should just not exist in a competitive game, period, end of story.
Yeah, and I think like part of this is like Nintendo and Game Freak did not make this game. I forget who made it, but it was outsourced to a different studio. So
yeah,
it's not technically like an internal devised game. So like they probably just told Nintendo they were doing microtransactions, but they probably didn't have to get into a lot of details on how the whole thing worked. And it's Nintendo, so they don't really understand how any of that works anyway. They're just excited to make money off of Pokemon, and they don't really have new ideas. So when other people have new ideas, they're all for it.
Yep.
But it was fun. Like I wouldn't not play it. I don't know that I'm going to play any more of it, but I don't think the pay to win necessarily breaks the game, because at least right now, I think there's enough of a player base, and you can increase this stuff without paying, that as long as the player base doesn't get suddenly narrowed down to just the money spenders, I think it'll be fine. Or if they rebalance it, if it gets like that.
Well, that won't happen.
Oh, no. But, it's Pokemon, so there's enough. It's a big enough title that, like, people are going to keep playing this for a while unless the late game area of it ends up just being really bad, which is possible. But at least up front, like, it plays well. It's easy to understand. It's easy to get into.
Yeah.
And, like, for people that have never played a MOBA or want to, it's free to play and doesn't have the toxic community that League or Dota have, where if you've never played before, you basically can't play.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Anything else you want to say about it, Rich?
I was actually just going through to see the upgrading and stuff. You can't upgrade an item till your trainer level 9 anyway, so I won't be able to tell right now how much it costs and stuff to upgrade items. But no, yeah, I agree with you though. Like it's something that like I'm not against playing. I'll probably jump into it from time to time if I have some spare time or whatever. If I don't have if I have 10 minutes basically or whatnot, but like it's not something I'm gonna play religiously or anything like that. Maybe a fun little let's have a competitive stream or something and just play that until I get frustrated that I keep and then stop. And
yeah, the one thing I'm curious about and I haven't really looked into, is what it does to let you play with friends. Like, if you and I wanted to play on like the same team, is it an easy process or is it a Nintendo process?
It's probably more a Nintendo process, because when you create your name, your character name, whatever, they gave you a trainer ID number.
Oh,
So
I forgot about that. That's right.
Why?
You probably have to know your trainer ID number.
True. It is a shorter number than your friend code.
Okay, that's
good
at least.
This is also, like, this is probably supposed to be able to be used and for crossplay, so it makes
that's actually a fair point.
It makes it easier to play games on crossplay with this trainer number than just, like, you can't play it with someone who doesn't have it on a Switch.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm actually interested in giving it a try, because I always flirt with the idea of getting into a MOBA, but like Cobb said, I haven't played before, so I just get yelled at for not knowing what I'm doing.
This is the opportune time to get into this MOBA, because it just came out, Thursday last week, I believe?
Something like that.
So, like, it is... The community might not be as toxic right now as it will be if you were to try it maybe a month.
True.
And there won't be those people that, like, yell at you to leave because you're bringing the team down and you suck. Because you've never played before, and you're just like, well, why don't you show me what I should be doing so I can learn? Because no one has that kind of patience.
Unfortunately, and that is what, like, the Dota and League communities are. Like, if you don't know somebody that plays that will, like, kind of show you the ropes, and you go into a match, even if it's not a ranked match, just a normal match,
mm-hmm.
they will either kick you from the match if they can, or treat you like shit until you leave the match.
Yeah. I did it in I think it was a StarCraft 2 or StarCraft Dota map once, or might have even been Warcraft. I can't remember. But, like, I jumped into one of those Dota maps, and I was going in. I was like, oh, I have to go. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know anything about attacking mobs, and it was just like, here's your objective. Go do it. And I start going to do it, and I keep getting killed. And the person, dude, you're trash. You're garbage. You're horrible. You're trash. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm doing the objective. Like, well, no, man, you suck. You shouldn't be doing... Like, all right, what should I be doing? You're trash, man. You're trash. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm just going to stay here and not move. And I walked away from my computer while still in the match. If you're going to treat potential new players like shit, potential new players are going to treat you like shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. Speaking of treating people like shit, how about this Activision Blizzard stuff?
Yikes.
Yeah, so if anybody hasn't... If you're living under a rock and haven't heard of what's going on, there was, like, to put it loosely, there was frat boy mentality in Blizzard around pretty much forever from what it's turning out to be.
It's worse than that, though, even. So it's not just that, like, there's a frat boy mentality and culture going on. It's the state of California did a 2-year investigation into the company and has now filed a lawsuit for them fostering that culture, in which, and this is an article from IGN that I'm actually paraphrasing from, but they're fostering a culture in which female employees are allegedly subjected to unequal pay and sexual harassment, which unfortunately isn't all that surprising. That seems to be way too prevalent just everywhere.
Yeah.
But, like, it's worse than just that. There's one thing in here specifically pointed out, and probably one of the most horrendous things I've read about this. The lawsuit cites a particular incident where a female employee who was already subjected to intense sexual harassment at the company committed suicide during a work trip with a male supervisor who allegedly brought inappropriate sexual items with him on the trip.
Jesus Christ.
And then on top of that, the article goes on to say things like, male employees are said to come to work hungover, play video games during work, while delegating the responsibilities to female employees, engaging in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. And then part of the actual document that the state of California filed suit with says... They accuse Activision Blizzard of fostering a pervasive frat boy workplace culture in the office. Male employees are said to drink copious amounts of alcohol as they make their way through cubicles and often engage in inappropriate behavior towards female employees.
Yeah, I've heard like stories of like guys just going under the female employees' desks to be able to look up their skirts, touching them, groping them, stuff like that, obviously. But there's also been stories of like some of the males who aren't participating in this being forced to play like quote gay chicken and see who's gonna grab the other dude's junk or something like that. Like, yeah, it is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And like, I have been off the Blizzard train since StarCraft 2 Zerg. I haven't bought anything Blizzard since then. I didn't even buy the expansion for Diablo 2 on the PS4. Eric bought that. So like I've been off Blizzard forever because I'm done with with the exception of StarCraft. I don't really care about their games. Like, I don't care about WoW. If they were to release an RTS Warcraft again, I'd probably be all down for it. Or if they were to release StarCraft 3, I'd probably be into it. But like, at this point, probably done with Blizzard entirely. At least until they get rid of everyone that's higher up. And that kind of raises. I've been wondering this question, you Drew, and you're big into you're all about the Diablo 2 update as well as the Diablo 4. Is this going to dissuade you from getting those?
I've been thinking about that a lot today, and I'm conflicted because I want to. It's do I boycott them entirely and give them no money and potentially put all these people out of jobs because like their game failed and the developers who had nothing to do with the actual misconduct at the company get fucked by people boycotting their things? Or do I like still go like try to support the people there that don't suck and still buy their thing? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I get it. It's a hard question to ask and answer.
Yeah, I do not know what the right answer to that is because like you said, I'm super into the Diablo series. It's my favorite series of games, and like I've been debating buying 2 copies of Diablo 2 Resurrected, buying one on PC and one on PlayStation. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I like if everyone who allowed this what's the word allowed this stuff to happen, if everyone who was like allowing it all and sees it and was just like boys will be boys type of bullshit were to just be let go, the board and everything will just be like, you guys are all done and let's start from the ground up, let's refigure out everything, I'd be a little bit more interested in like supporting them again. But from what I've heard, their apology letter was, we're not responsible for our employees.
Well, was that the PR statement that they put out, or like something internal? Because those are going to be 2 different things.
Yeah, there has been a lot of different responses to this. So like they released like a PR statement basically calling the lawsuit outrageous and ungrounded. I don't have that article up that has the exact words, but it was basically Activision Blizzard saying like, no, that none of this is true. This is all just gibberish. Like they have no right to raise these claims. Yada yada yada. People higher up at Activision Blizzard, like Bobby Kotick, the CEO, who doesn't have the best reputation as a likable person, let's say, released a statement earlier today. I want to say it was either earlier today or late yesterday, saying that Activision Blizzard's initial statement, which is the one where they kind of called it like outrageous, is tone deaf, and that he promised swift action and said there's no place anywhere for discrimination, harassment, or unequal treatment of any kind, promising to review Activision Blizzard's policies and procedures with law firm Wilmer Hale. So like he's looking to actually bring in a law firm to basically go over this stuff, which is something that companies like this do a lot when allegations like this are brought up, because it's covering their asses. Like, let's be real. Like, Bobby Kotick is a level of rich where he doesn't actually care about any of the people that work for him.
No.
He only cares about his shareholders and what his bonus at the end of the year looks like. So he is going to hire lawyers to come in and find out what's wrong and what they have to do to fix it so that they can get their stock shares back up and he can walk away with hundreds of millions of dollars next year.
Yeah, and it's like obvious, like he's most likely one of the people part of the problem who's turning around saying that it was a tone deaf response when there's no way he didn't know that this was going on in his company. Like
it's possible when you are the CEO of a company like that, like basically the C-level executives may legitimately not know because they don't know what's going on at the ground floor.
Yeah,
they don't care
day-to-day.
What's going on. They just care that the stock keeps going up and that they keep getting bonuses.
HR's not reporting shit all the way up to the CEO. Like, yeah, I can't say he didn't hear any of this going on, but it's entirely plausible he never heard any of this until the lawsuit.
Yeah, or at least not understanding at what level things were happening. Yeah. And that's part of the problem too, is like from the outside, because this is a lawsuit being brought by the state of California, like when lawsuits are raised, they become public domain. Like that stuff has to be publicly available, but like we don't know the entire inside story about like who in the company is actually doing this. Like, is it the actual developers? Is it the marketing team? Like, what parts and how pervasive is this to the company as a whole? Because you figure like Blizzard is its own thing. Like Blizzard does all its own games, but Activision as a whole has a bunch of studios that aren't necessarily working out of their main campus. So like all of the Call of Duty studios like are all over the place. Like they're not all in the same place. Like, is this happening at those studios too? Is this strictly is this strictly a Blizzard issue? Is this a like Activision corporate issue? Like none of that stuff is necessarily super clear unless you likely go through like the very detailed reports from the lawsuit, which I'm not a lawyer. Like that stuff doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. But today there was a walkout by Blizzard employees, or by Activision Blizzard employees, I should say. It was basically two parts. There was an in-person walkout of the Blizzard campus from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time, as well as a virtual walkout for anyone that's not able to be there in person from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, where basically like people were not working. Like all of their stuff stopped working. And I actually read or heard earlier this week, late last week, not long after this stuff came out, the WoW development team basically said like they've stopped working. Like they are not, the game is being kept running, but they are not doing anything to improve the game now.
WoW's already in a little bit of shit because some big WoW streamers have left and went to 14, and they've lost a huge number of fan base from people playing WoW, jumping over to Final Fantasy alone. So like that's all its own thing that's going on over there with WoW. But like there's nothing being done with WoW at the moment.
Yeah, but so and nothing's being done with it because of this. Like it's not like they don't know what's going on. Like they are taking a stand by like basically not doing what Blizzard needs them to do until some of these things get addressed. Yeah. Part of this walkout was to try and get Activision Blizzard to actually meet demands of the employees, which there are 4 points on this IGN article that they have in here. They want to put an end to mandatory arbitration clauses in all employee contracts, current and future. Arbitration clauses protect abusers and limit the ability of victims to seek restitution. Point number 2, the adoption of recruiting, interviewing, hiring, and promotion policies designed to improve representation among employees at all levels, agreed upon by employees in a company-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion organization. Current practices have led to women, in particular women of color and transgender women, non-binary people, and other marginalized groups that are vulnerable to gender discrimination, not being hired fairly for new roles when compared to men. Point 3 was publication of data on relative compensation, including equity, grants, and profit sharing. promotion rates, and salary ranges for employees of all genders and ethnicities at the company. Current practices have led to aforementioned groups not being paid or promoted fairly. And the final thing they're looking for is empower a company-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion task force to hire a third party to audit Activision I don't know what ABK stands for, but Activision Blizzard something. Reporting structure, HR department, and executive staff. It is imperative to identify how current systems have failed to prevent employee harassment and to propose new solutions to address these issues. So, like, they're not just looking for a pat on the back, good job. Like, this isn't about time off or crunch. They're looking for actual fairness and realistic hiring practices. Like, they want some sort of oversight and not just the whim of whoever's in charge.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what ABK meant.
Yeah, same. It's
Activision Blizzard something.
Yeah, I like Activision.
I'm surprised that's not a thing.
Right?
Yeah, maybe ABK is their
It's their stock name or something like that.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. It's ATVI.
Oh,
because Activision.
Right, because Blizzard wasn't technically part of them.
Yeah, I don't think Blizzard is public either. So
because it's wholly owned by Activision.
Yeah.
So it is public, but it's Activision stock that actually matters.
One stock. They also own King. That might be what the K is.
Oh, okay. I don't know what King is.
They make Candy Crush.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. ABK, Activision Blizzard King. And that's why the employees will put it that way, because it's all three of their organizations, basically.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Activision makes a lot of games. Like, they have the rights to make a lot of games. They don't necessarily make a lot of games. They make Call of Duty, and Blizzard makes a lot of games. But even then, like, Blizzard doesn't make games quickly.
Like, and I feel for these people, and this is going to be a shitty thing to say, kind of, but I really hope it's just limited to... I really hope it's not Activision. Like, it sucks that these people are going through what they're going through. But, like, if that is a whole Activision company-wide thing going on, that is a lot of fucking people that haven't been able to speak up. And that sucks.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I don't want this to happen regardless, but, like, I want to know at what level this stuff is happening. Because is this, like... Because a lot of the reports mention, like, executive and, like upper management, but not so much as the sole instigators of this stuff. So, like, how far up and down the ladder does it go, and how widespread is it? Because you figure these demands that they have for, like, fixing their workplace are agreed upon by the employees at large that are taking part in the walkout today. So, who is actually the one that's causing this to have to become a thing is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it is nuts. And I didn't know about this until Monday. And I've been watching it, like, paying a lot of attention, because I'm just like, this is disgusting, what's going on.
Yeah, and actually, so the letter of, like, what they're looking for is over 2,600 signatures as of this morning, I believe.
Yeah. I think it was, like, 500, and it's all employee signatures. And I think at one point it was, like, on like, Monday it was, like, 500. And by Tuesday, it was 2,600, or over 2.
Yeah, and
that's over a quarter of their employees.
Yeah, and outside of just Activision Blizzard employees, there was another thing that nearly 500 Ubisoft employees have signed an open letter, basically in, like, solidarity with what Activision Blizzard employees are looking for out of their walk-in or walk-out. Mm-hmm. So, like, there are other large studios that are, you know, taking the employees' side.
Well, yeah. I mean, Ubisoft's dealing with their own sexual harassment shit, too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's been going on, been going on for months at this point over there.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it does not diminish it at all, but, like, what is coming out about Activision sounds like it's actually at, like, a different level than that, too. Like, no one should have to deal with the sexual harassment, but the fact that, like, people, like, that somebody killed themselves because of the way that they were treated. Like, how bad does a work environment have to be that, like, that happened, and I don't know when that happened, but the fact that it happened, and this is just now coming to like a head, basically, is just crazy. Like that, the lawsuit should have been, and I understand like they had to do investigations and all, but like something should have been brought against them whenever that took place, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
it's just it's disgusting.
It really is, and it's a shame because like Drew said, like Diablo is one of if not his favorite franchises, and I know like you're an Overwatch fan too, and like a lot of what Blizzard has put out over the years, and now you almost feel like that taint to it, and it's almost like when people say, well, like removing the artist from the art. If like an artist happens to suck, like we can use what's her face from J.K. Rowling.
You can remove J.K. Rowling from Harry Potter, and you can still be a fan of Harry Potter. You can still be a fan of Diablo, but the question is, do you continue being a fan of Diablo moving forward? Like, you can still like Diablo 1, 2, and 3, but do you continue to support Diablo 2 Remaster and Diablo?
Well, and when it comes to that, I feel it's personally easier to remove the artists from the art when it's many people. When it's one person, when it's J.K. Rowling, fuck Harry Potter. I will never personally spend any money on anything Harry Potter related.
You weren't gonna do that anyway.
Like, I even find it difficult to want to buy a Harry Potter related gift for Sarah, because like I don't want money going to that scumbag.
But like that's the there's I see what you're saying, but you also got to think about it. Like, if say you were to buy this Harry Potter related thing from the mall for Sarah that you got at, say, Box Lunch in the Deptford Mall.
What the fuck is? I'm sorry. What the fuck is Box Lunch?
It's owned by PacSun, I believe, but it's a bunch of like nerdy stuff, and it's a really cool store actually.
I've never heard of it.
It's second floor, on the right side of the food court, across the bridge.
Okay.
Yeah. But like they have a bunch of different nerdy things all there. They've got Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, anime stuff. Like, they've got a bunch of stuff there. But say you were to buy this Harry Potter purse for Sarah. The money that's going to J.K. Rowling is very minimal. It's that money is going towards WB, and the like, if it's an actual licensed thing, that money's going to WB more so than it's going to J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling got her money from the deals she made. She might be getting some money from product sales. She's not getting millions from product sales. I
100% understand that, but that doesn't change my mind on like it being easier for me to, when it's one person responsible for a piece of art, to go, I'm done with that thing entirely.
No, I get it. Like, there are some, like, it was the alien memes that were going around during the pandemic and prior to the pandemic. Turned out that they were people that, like, are super Catholic religious and, like, don't believe in gay rights. And I'm like, well, that sucks because I like these memes. But I'm like, all right, I can separate their ideals from the memes. Like, I'm not giving them money for the meme. Like, I can separate that from them. Like, their memes I can actually relate to. These little alien comics, I find them funny. These people kind of suck, but I can find their art funny. And it's, like, I feel like I'm never going to buy a J.K. Rowling, or a J.K. Rowling book, anything she's ever written. I've never bought one. I'm never going to buy one. But, like, it's, like, I feel more comfortable. And it's your own personal feelings. Like, I'm not trying to dissuade you. It's just, like, I feel more comfortable being like, all right, I'm more okay buying these things for people who like them because most of the money isn't going to J.K. Rowling. That's fine. It's going to WB more so than... That's why I'm, like, more interested in that Harry Potter game. Because that's a WB game. It's not a J.K. Rowling. Like, and that's, like... But, like, when it comes to something where a bunch of people in a company, you're supporting that company by buying these new things, I'm like, all right, I don't go to Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A sucks, because that company sucks. The head of Chick-fil-A is a fucking asshole, but the entire company, for the most part, besides the fact that they do provide, like, decent health insurance and shit, kind of sucks. So, like, I don't go to Chick-fil-A. because the company sucks. And right now, Activision, the company, fucking sucks. Or not Activision, but Blizzard.
Well,
Activision Blizzard.
Activision.
It is one company.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair though, like the argument that the money that you spend on a Harry Potter merchandise doesn't go to J.K. Rowling, like the money you spend on Diablo isn't going into the pockets of the people that may or may not be named in like this lawsuit or that are necessarily making the workplaces awful. It's going to stockholders who are probably also kind of shitty, but for different reasons. Like it's going into Bobby Kotick's pocket, who is apparently kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's just. We need to lighten up the mood. That's a rough topic.
Yeah. So I'm sure we will check in on this again as more things kind of come to light and we know where it's going. But I mean, we're not lawyers, so like there's only so much we can say, and it's really just our opinion on this sucks and they need to get better.
Yeah.
But Rich, you and I watched the Masters of the Universe Revelations Netflix series.
Yeah, the He-Man show, the Kevin Smith He-Man show.
No, it's Masters of the Universe. It is not He-Man. Get it right.
Well, that's what He-Man's always Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, but He-Man's in it for like 6 minutes. Come on.
But that's it. Look, I knew you weren't gonna like it because He-Man's in it for 6 minutes, just like Godzilla's only in movies for 15 minutes.
No,
I knew the instant that like He-Man was out after the first episode that like you weren't gonna like it.
Oh no, like I went into this knowing that already. It has nothing to do with that. I don't care about I have no nostalgia for Masters of the Universe. Like He-Man is not a character that I have any real affinity for. So like I actually didn't care that he was in it a limited amount. Like I said, no nostalgia for this. So like the universe and all is just kind of meh to me. And while I think the voice acting was good, I didn't like the animation style.
Yeah, it is very like the animation is kind of like the art is modern, but the animation is kind of like 90s 2000.
Yeah, I think I might just not particularly like the more modern way that they're doing cartoons in America, because like as much as I like the Invincible series, I did not like the animation in that all that much either. I didn't like this animation. I hate shows like Adventure Time and that one with like the chicken looking blue thing. So like I think I just don't like American cartoons.
I think that's the regular show.
I have no fucking clue. I didn't like it.
It's the squirrel and the bird.
That sounds right.
Yeah, the regular show. It is the art style itself is very sort of modern looking, but it did seem to be like kind of an older school animation style, and it was for me. I was like, this is it's unique. It's not something I'd write home about. It's not something I felt like was awesome, but it was fine. Like animation and art wise, I thought the story was interesting. I wasn't expecting like I do with a lot of my like shows and media. Like I go in trying to know absolute. I didn't know. Spoiler alert. I didn't know that He-Man was essentially going to die in there. Like I didn't know this. I went in not knowing that He-Man wasn't in most of the series, and I thought it was like a neat take on this story and on these characters. I also, not having a lot of nostalgia for He-Man. I didn't really watch He-Man back then. It was always on really early, because it was like a 70s cartoon.
80s. It was from 83.
Was it in 80s? Okay.
But it's very much like the Transformers and G.I. Joe cartoons of the era where they were cartoons made to sell toys. I enjoyed the Transformers, but like He-Man was like just early enough and didn't really last long enough to like where we would have really played with them. Like by the time it really came around, like He-Man was kind of old.
Yeah.
And let's be real, like if you grew up in that era, you'd love that stuff. But like their names are bad. Come on, like the main character is He-Man.
Evil Lena.
Yeah,
because her name was Lena, and then she went evil. Evil Lena.
The head, like, or not the head, like the legendary hero in one of the final episodes, his name is literally He-Ro.
Yeah, hero. Yeah. It's not very creative. It's from the friggin' 80s. Like, there's not many creative things from the 80s.
No, I mean, there's plenty of creative things in the 80s, but it's from the 80s, and the cartoon only exists to sell the toys, and the toys only exist to make money. So like they weren't putting a lot of thought into the names. They're just like, boys want action figures with swords, and because I feel like if I remember correctly from like one of those like the Toys That Made Us shows or something like that, I feel like He-Man came out when they were trying to downplay guns in toys. So like G.I. Joes had existed, but there was like the backlash on how violent toys were. So He-Man was made as like, oh, well, like they have like swords and staves and like they're not shooting guns. They, you know, he's got a fucking giant green tiger to ride.
Yeah. There's a documentary on Netflix, The History of He-Man, that I've been wanting to watch ever since I watched the series, just so I could like see like according to Kevin Smith, like this was based off of a specific He-Man storyline that like might have been written comic-wise or something else post like the He-Man that we might be thinking of. Like there have been other He-Man stories, but it's just all I can think of when it comes to He-Man is the 80s cartoon, because I wasn't a comic collector, still am not a comic collector, and I didn't know about any of the others.
Yeah, like I was at least passingly familiar with most of the characters.
Yeah.
But like I've never read a He-Man comic. I've only seen bits and pieces of the cartoon. I've never seen the 88-ish, 87 Dolph Lundgren starring movie.
Oh God, right. That's a live action movie.
Yeah, there is. But like I know people that are really big fans of this stuff, and like there is a nostalgia to it for them. And a lot of them really liked the show. I saw some people like hating on it just because of the whole like Teela is the main character, but also it's 5 fucking episodes. Like we don't know what's going to happen when the next 5 or however many release.
Yeah. It was a cool story though. Like, and that ending, I was kind of blown away.
The ending was actually it was one of those shows where like I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, I don't like this. Like I don't really want to keep watching it. I'm like, there's only 3 more and they're only 20 minutes. Like I'll just take my time and get through them. And that last episode, I'm just like, okay, I did not expect that. I am actually intrigued to see what the next one is. Yeah. But if I don't, like, I don't care either.
I was honestly totally expecting Teela to become She-Ra. And
they are different people.
Nope. Well, yeah, Teela and She-Ra are, but She-Ra is He-Man's cousin.
Yes, but Teela is not. They are different characters.
I know they're different characters, but like it could have been something else that they had done. Like instead of having Teela be like I didn't know that She-Ra was He-Man's cousin, was Prince Adam's cousin when I was thinking this, but like while I was watching it, I was like, well, maybe when everything's complete, she uses the power and becomes She-Ra instead of having He-Man, and that's why it's called Masters of the Universe and not called He-Man. And like it was just me, like it's its own thing, so they could have just like bent the story a little bit to go that way. It's one of the options they could have gone.
Well, so keep in mind, Netflix did a She-Ra series also, so they're not going to overlap those. Also, She-Ra is Adam's sister, not cousin, and she protects a different planet.
I think in certain continuity.
Oh, you know what? Maybe the rebooted series, it was different, but I read this before and I just double checked it to make sure. In like the original, like 85, 84 thing, they were siblings and they were twins. She was like stolen as a baby or something like that and actually protected a different planet than Eternia.
Yeah, I'm trying to find just generic She-Ra wiki. But yeah, it's just there's different continuities all over the place. I think there's like, what is it, 2 or 3 different She-Ra series? Yeah,
there have been more than one of them.
Oh, okay. So Wiki does say twin brother. Who is she? The cousin? Oh, she's the Skeletor's her uncle in certain canons. Maybe what I was mistaking.
But yeah, I mean, as I knew that like that Teela wasn't She-Ra because Teela is a character from the original series. Mm-hmm. But that I still think like that last episode went in at least an interesting direction.
Yeah, it did. It definitely went into an interesting direction. I love Kevin Smith's writing, and I know right now they just did the table read for Clerks 3.
They did like half a table read because a few people weren't there. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's getting ready
So-
in the next week or two to start filming Clerks 3.
Yeah, so they're doing Clerks 3 right now, so it's going to be a while, I guess, before he starts writing the next...
No,
Unless he's already got it written and it's being animated.
Yeah, no, I don't know when exactly, but I read something that the next part is not that far off. Like, it
Okay.
is already in production.
Maybe he wrote, like, the whole thing, or at least the first 2 parts, or something like that.
I mean,
'Cause
odds are they have a full... They're doing the Netflix thing. They film... I use film loosely here because it's an animated series. They do the whole thing at once and then split it up.
Yeah, so... But yeah, it was good. Definitely check it out. If go into it... If you're expecting He-Man, go into it knowing He-Man's not in mode. But go into it knowing that there is a good story behind it. It's a very good story.
It's fine. It has a very good voice cast. It's got a hell of a voice cast.
I was looking through it. It's pretty wild.
Fucking Mark Hamill is Skeletor.
Yeah.
Davos is Man-at-Arms.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, is Tila. Lena Headey is Evelyn.
Alicia Silverstone. Henry Rollins.
Oh, that's right. Henry Rollins was Triclops. Kevin Conroy is Merman for like 30 whole seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Sam Hughes is in it because of course he is.
But
yeah,
so
it's a Kevin Smith thing.
he is in one scene for maybe 30 seconds, which is the best
he's
part.
There. Sounds exactly what he should be.
Yeah, Justin Long is in it. So like, yeah, that Dennis Haysbert is King Grayskull, the President Palmer from 24, or for everybody else, the All-State Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fine. I'm interested at least in seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
Now, Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking went and watched Terminator Salvation. What did you think?
It's a pretty decent action movie that I feel like someone wrote a interesting like war movie script. It didn't get picked up, and then they went, but what if it was Terminator? And they were like, okay, let's figure out how to make this Terminator, and just shoehorn Terminator into it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's 100%. I feel like that's definitely what happened. But you're right. Like, it's actually a pretty good like action movie. It's not a great Terminator movie, but like, also like, there's not that much Terminator stuff in it until the end.
Yeah, which is why it's like, oh, well, nobody wants this script. Make it Terminators. But can we do that? Can we get the Terminator license somehow?
Yeah,
robots? Sure, let's do it.
Can we deep fake Arnold's face onto this current Mr. Olympian's body before deep fakes are a thing?
Right.
Yeah. This is the one where John is looking for, his name's Kyle, right? Kyle Reese.
Yes, he's looking for Kyle Reese. It's the Christian Bale one from 2008.
Yeah.
It takes place entirely in the future timeline where Judgment Day has already happened.
Yeah. He somehow has recordings of his mom telling him to find Kyle Reese, and that he has to send him back in time. And so he listens to these recordings of his mom, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, and just so that he knows what he has to look for Kyle Reese, and Kyle Reese turns out to be like this nerdy dude or something like that.
Yeah, he's like a kid. I mean, he's a kid.
Yeah.
It's Anton Yelchin.
You're right.
And then there's a guy who was like about to be executed, but instead Cyberdyne came and took him and was like, well, what if we made you a cyborg? And then that guy wakes up in, I think it's 2018 the movie is taking place in, and it's post-apocalypse, and he's like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you find out he's a Terminator later.
Yeah.
It's like, the fuck?
It's so... Yeah, you're right. They wrote a sci-fi...
movie.
They wrote a sci-fi war movie and then shoehorned Terminator into it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's a fun... Like, I like Salvation.
It's not bad. It's better than 3.
Yeah.
I liked it better than 3 overall, I think. But
so since you've watched this far, you have to do Genesis.
Yeah, no, me and my friend are going to watch Genesis, and
okay, just making sure.
They were like, it sucks. It's terrible, but we have to watch it at the point.
Yeah, no, it is on the scale, like it is several steps below 3 before it hits the bottom. Like, it is such an atrocious fucking movie. And then I mean, you can sit down and watch Sarah Connor Chronicles, which is apparently very good, but I've never seen.
Yeah, I probably won't do that. That seems like a lot of work. Although I don't even know how long that series ran.
It's 12 episodes. It was only one season, I think.
It got canceled, I think.
I'm going to double check.
Right.
It's very short, though. I know most it's 2 short seasons.
Actually, it was supposed to be a mini-series at first. If I remember correctly, it was a mini-series. So it might have gotten a second season because the first season decently. But that was it. It was supposed to be like... Because Fox did that for a while. Like, they would pick these, like, mini-series to run. Like, they did that with Wayward Pines as well. Like, a show that has a definite ending, it's only 2 or 3 seasons. I think that's what Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Okay, no, so it was a 9-episode first season, followed by a 22-episode second season. It was not a mini-series or anything, though, because this was before Fox was doing that. This was in that era where Fox liked to launch sci-fi shows, not give them any fucking help, and then cancel them after one season because they fucked it up themselves.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you don't, like, none of that stuff ties in, but it is apparently a very good show. People do like Sarah Connor Chronicles, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that we'll get into watching that or not. Is that even anywhere to stream?
I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu.
Okay.
Actually, where did you watch Salvation at? Did you, like, rent it, or was it available somewhere?
No, it's on HBO Max.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad.
No. I don't know if Genesis is anywhere.
Let's
it might
find
also
out.
be on HBO.
Sarah Connor Chronicles is on Hulu, yes.
Okay.
Terminator Genesis. Come on, Just Watch. No, it does not. It's on Paramount Plus.
Genesis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a $2.70 rental on Amazon.
That's fine.
That's like that movie does so many stupid fucking things. It's just it's frustrating because it could have been neat. It could have been like a cool retelling of the original Terminator with like a twist, and instead they just make every wrong decision they possibly fucking can.
Nice.
And it's one of those things where, like, you know how Dark Fate was one of those ones where, like, you go into it thinking, like, oh, this is going to be bad, and it ended up actually being pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Like, as far as these movies go. That's kind of what this one almost feels like. Like it starts out and you're like, oh, this might actually be cool, and then it immediately goes, oh, no, we fucked up. Like, never mind.
We fucked up, we don't know how to fix this, it's just going to be trash. Here you go.
Yeah, we're just going to lean all the way into this and just... Remember Terminator 3? Yeah, hold my beer.
Maybe if we make it really bad, it'll be good, but they didn't get that bad.
They didn't get the memo on what that actually means.
They didn't get the MST bad. Like, they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and you know what? It's been a few years since I watched that one, but I feel like there's not even enough to make fun of in the movie to, like, make it, like, that sort of fun to watch. Like,
oh, probably not.
Like, doing a talkover track for that movie just wouldn't be good either.
No.
But I forget, though, in Salvation, does that movie end with basically the beginning of the original Terminator with Kyle going back in time? Or do they end it before that?
They end it before he's... Yeah, I don't think they touch on him, like, being an adult at all.
They end it before because it was supposed to be another trilogy. It was supposed to be 3 more movies, with the third one him going back in time. Like, it was supposed to be, like, that series that was supposed to launch a trilogy of Terminator movies post Judgment Day.
Oh, okay. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Also, it was 10 years ago, so...
Yeah. Like,
that, I mean, I could see that having been a thing, and then Christian Bale tried to murder fucking... or went nuts on the film crew, and then they were like, alright, never mind.
I don't think it was that stopped. I think it was the film's poor performance that stopped them from doing any more.
I mean, that's what keeps happening, is they keep releasing these movies, and they keep performing badly. But it's like, they do one that's actually not awful, then they wait 9 years to do the sequel, and no one cares anymore. And then that one's really bad, and then they do another one, and it's like, oh, this one's not bad, but you fucked us too many times, like, we're not doing this again.
Yeah. And then they reboot the series. And then they reboot it twice in the next 2 movies. Like, that's like, Terminator was good. Terminator 2 was fine. Terminator 3, not that great. Terminator Salvation, alright. And then they rebooted it twice with Genesis and Dark Fates, right? That's the called?
Yeah, Dark Fate.
Yeah, Dark Fate.
Yeah, and at least Dark Fate does reboot everything back to 2. Because, like,
true.
While Salvation was a fine movie, it doesn't really remove anything from the the mythos to not.
Yeah.
And like, frankly, that movie could still technically happen because it happens in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only thing that kind of fucks that up is the date given. And I guess the fact that John Connor's alive in the future.
Yeah. So that movie can't, with the current continuity, this is why fucking Terminator is so fucked up. There's too many fucking timelines. With the current continuity with Dark Fates, John Connor's never been alive, so somehow John Connor was the catalyst to, not never being alive, but he was killed in the 90s. But somehow John Connor is the catalyst for Judgment Day Part 1. And because John Connor never survives, the Judgment Day never happens. And so then a later Judgment Day happens. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck, Terminator?
I mean, yeah, that is the one part of that one that kind of made it weird. It's like, okay, well, they stopped Judgment Day in Terminator 2, but then a year later, another Terminator comes back and murders him, But
like, the way they explain the way that Terminator is there is like, it was essentially a time remnant. He never should have existed, but he was there, he already existed. Like, they're so weird with their time travel. It doesn't not make sense. But, like...
And the fact that they kept sending them back, too, is the thing that makes it even weirder.
Yeah, so they kept sending them. Every time one failed, they kept sending more and more. Or they just sent a bunch out all at once to have them wait as, like, sleeper cells, essentially. It's all ridiculous. Trying to figure out Terminator is the Charlie Day,
It's all bird law.
Yeah. But you got anything else on Terminator?
Nah, that was it. It's not bad. It could have been worse.
Oh, it's gonna get worse. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sure.
Do you know when you're gonna watch Genesis?
Yeah, somehow. Oh, well, like I said, I'll probably just rent it.
No. Do you know when you're going to?
Oh, do I know when? No, probably soonish. I don't know, but we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, I am interested to hear how much you hate that one. So I watched the movie Gunpowder Milkshake on Netflix.
That is on my queue. I want to watch it. I just haven't.
Fuck is this?
So it's Karen Gillan and Lena Headey and a bunch. Paul Giamatti is in it. Rhys Ifans, I think that's how you say his name. Like,
don't know who that is.
He was the lizard in the first Amazing Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield movies. And a handful of other people too, like Angela Bassett's in it. It's one of those like assassin world movies where like Karen Gillan plays an assassin who her mom Lena Headey was an assassin before her, and she basically does a job that goes sideways that sort of like puts a mark on her, and then in trying to fix that, kills somebody she didn't mean to kill and ends up pseudo adopting his daughter in the process. But because she fucked up the thing that was going to kind of like fix her record, everyone's just gunning for her. And yeah, it's one of those. It's got some really fun fight scenes. There's a fight scene at a bowling alley, where it's her versus like these three like goon enforcer guys, and there's a few sort of just wonky choreography moments in it, but overall it's like a really fun fight. Yeah, she ends up taking one guy out with a bowling ball, which was really nice. He was already down on the ground, and she just kind of like lines up and just like throws a bowling ball right at his face. Yeah, it's there. At one point, she gets drugged and loses the control of her arms. So she has a gun strapped to one hand and a scalpel strapped to the other. And she basically just runs around, like, flailing her arms so that her finger that's taped to the trigger kind of, like, by centrifugal force pulls and just, like, shoots bullets randomly and hopes to, like, land on somebody. It's...
that's safe and everything.
Dude, I mean, there were nothing but bad guys in the room, so... But, like, the three bad guys were also the three guys that she had already beat the shit out of, so, like, they were on crutches and in a wheelchair, like, they weren't moving too good either. Mm-hmm. It had a lot of dumb to it. It continues that trend of like movies about assassins and hitmen and stuff like that, having these weird underworlds to them. Like in this one, they have a library that they go to like get guns, and there's these three women librarians, and they literally like pulled these big books off of shelves that are like Jane Eyre and stuff like that, and Pride and Prejudice, like real big, thick hardcover books. And you open them up and they've been carved out to fit guns and like clips and stuff in them. At one point, she opens a book and finds a gold bar in it and fights with that for a minute.
Okay. Makes sense, because those things aren't like...
No, exactly. And it's just, like, it's stupid, but it was a lot of fun. The cast was fun to watch. Like, you're not going into it looking for, like, an Oscar-winning movie, but, like, it's a fun action flick.
Cool. Yeah. It's a movie about taking down the patriarchy, because the lead cast is 5 women and 1 man. And I'm saying that satirically. I'm not upset about that at all, obviously.
Yeah, that is really kind of what it is, though. Like, at a certain point, she's just like, yeah, this isn't how this is going to work anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks ridiculous, and I added it to my my Netflix queue. What was it recent that it came?
Yeah, like a week or two ago, if that.
Yeah. So like I think the day I saw it, I was like, this looks interesting, and I love Karen Gillan, so let's add that and watch it eventually. And I just haven't gotten around to watch it.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. So it's a little long. It is 2 hours. So I mean that's average-ish movie length, but a few parts of this feel like it dragged just a little bit, especially like the very beginning of the movie, like before like the plots really kind of gotten rolling. Mm-hmm. But it's a little funny. So Lena Headey still has her British accent.
Okay.
But Karen Gillan has an American accent in it. And they're like mother and daughter, so it's just like, okay, well, I guess she like grew up in America or whatever, but like, why not just let her talk with her Scottish accent and just say that like she was raised in Scotland, her mother's from the UK, and then they moved to America?
Yeah, they should have just given her let her use her Scottish accent, but that might have been her choice to use her American.
That's possible, and I will say that there was a nice bit of continuity. At the beginning of the movie, they have a flash of her when she's like probably somewhere between like 13 and 15. And she gets cut on the cheek. Like somebody literally takes a knife and like cuts her cheek. And when they flash back to her as like an adult in present day, they actually like have a very faint scar on the cheek where she would have been cut. Because like it's not a super deep cut where like it should have left like a real noticeable like Joker scar, but there's just like that pale line that you know that's where the cut happened.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where they definitely could have either not done it at all and just been like, it was a superficial wound, like it healed, or gone too far with it and made it look like a big, like, Joker scar.
Yeah, they could have, I'm glad that they kept with the continuity of keeping it small, tight, I guess.
Yeah. And there were some definite, like, in some of the action scenes, there were those, like, cringe moments when, like, somebody, like, got hit in one way or another. Like, when they're fighting with when she has the stuff like just strapped to her, because she has a scalpel, those things are really sharp, and because she's just kind of flailing her whole body around, those things get like caught in people's like shoulder neck areas a few times, and just she can't get it out because she has no muscle that she can use in her arms, so she's just kind of like flinging her body trying to pull this thing out, and it's not like it killed the person. So, like, you're just watching this scalpel stuck down into this person's shoulder as she's trying to, like, de-wedge it from them. And then they had 2 of the coolest fucking guns I've ever seen. So they were just, like, 2, like, handguns. But they had attachments for, like, bayonets on them that, like, were just these, like, long silver knives. They were the coolest fucking things. And at one point, the person using it runs out of ammo and just fucking flings it at one of the bad guys, and it just gets stuck in their chest. And it was one of those, like, that was a cool move. Like, that was good. So, yeah, I would definitely, if you're looking for just, like, a silly action movie, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch when I have the...
Nice. Is there anything else either you guys want to talk about?
No. I got Monster Hunter Stories too, but I'll talk about that more next week. All I've done was pass the demo area, so I want to get more into it before I talk about it further. But a quick reminder that book club is next week, so anybody listening who's joining in on book club, listen to The Message and Life After.
I did manage to get through both of them.
If Cobb can do it, you can.
Yeah, I definitely got lucky having to do that wireless survey. Because it's just such a solitary thing. Like, I was just walking around for hours on end, just like holding my laptop out, that I listened to the majority of it just the one day, like just doing that. And I had like 2 episodes left of it. So I just kind of listened to those on my drive home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those, like, I wasn't sitting at home or something like that where I was, like, easily spacing out. So, like, I wasn't, like, I'm sure I missed things here and there, but I was actually able to, like, focus on it because the work required so little focus.
Yeah. We'll talk more about it next week. But for me, I think that's a show. About you guys.
That's it for me.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll be back next week then. In the meantime, if you want to, find more of our content that we have on the internet, as it were, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by going to patreon.com/onequest, where if you go support us with some dollars there, you might be able to, get early access to this D&D show that these guys are going to be doing in a few months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got to record a promo for that soon.
We do. And, that Patreon's a good way to help support that, make sure that it keeps happening, as it were, and maybe happens a little more frequently, if that's a thing you're interested in. But if you can't support us there with dollars, you can always go to your favorite podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all those sorts of places. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. Those things all help a whole bunch. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Twitter and Instagram. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo, and you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. Otherwise, we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Twitch.tv/B_1. See ya.